All right, so if you do sales, at some point in your sales process, you have to handle what is called an objection or a hesitation, right? And what that is simply the customer giving you an excuse as to why they're not ready to take action in the way that you would like today, whether that be they need to speak with their wife, or they just don't have enough time at the moment, or they may be busy and they want to reschedule a time to have some time to look over everything, wanting you to send an email, send further details so they can make an informed decision. There's a million and one ways that they can come to give you a hesitation or objection. It's just that you, as the salesperson, now have to figure out a way to not only overcome it, but be able to kind of move the call or whatever sales process you're in forward so you get to your goal. So, how do you move past an objection? Well, if you go over to chapter 5 of Stutter Selling, Mastering Call Center Sales with a Stutter, we have a section that's called Overcoming Hesitations. All right, so let's see how Sam tries to handle it. All right, so ring, ring, ring. The sound of ringing filled Sam's headset as he prepared to take his next call. He adjusted his notes and straightened his posture, repeating the words in his head like a mantra: acknowledge, value, question. This was the new approach he was trying to master. It wasn't about being perfect or delivering a pitch flawlessly. It was about keeping the conversation moving despite the occasional stumble. The call connected. Hi, this is Sam with Reliance Services. How can I assist you today? The customer launched into a complaint about billing error. Their voice was sharp. Their frustration was palpable. Sam hesitated momentarily, paralyzed by the barrage of negativity. You people are always messing things up, the customer snapped. Why should I even stay with your company? All right, so let's pause here. How would you move forward? So we see these three points here in bold: acknowledge, value, and question. So what you are typically, well, in this approach, what you typically do, first you're going to acknowledge the hesitation that the person is having. Then you're going to give a value statement, something that gives value to the conversation that you're having. So if they're on a time crunch, that know that this will only take a few seconds, and then you're gonna ask a question that puts the call forward. Or if it's in an in-person type situation, you'll still be trying to put the sales cycle forward to get to that next stage to hopefully close out that sale, right? Let's continue here. Finding his footing, Sam felt a familiar tightening in his chest. His instinct was to apologize and try to move on, but that would only escalate the situation. So in this case too, sometimes it's not the right thing to necessarily apologize. That's why we say acknowledge, not apologize. So it's not my fault. I'm just here to do my job, not apologizing on behalf of the company. Sometimes you will have to do that depending on the situation, but typically we're going to acknowledge what the problem is rather than try to take blame, because that could, as this says, escalate, and we don't want to escalate. If anything, we want the person to be as calm as possible, and we can move the call forward in a more measured approach, if that makes sense. All right, let's continue. Instead, he took a breath and followed the steps he had been practicing. First, I want to acknowledge how frustrating this must be, he began, keeping his voice calm and steady. Billing issues can be really stressful, and I'm here to help get this sorted out for you. The customer's tone softened slightly. Yeah, well, it's been a hassle. All right, so you see how it kind of shifts here? So most of the time the customer, when they come at you with the objection, not all the time, but in most cases, they actually want you to acknowledge what you're saying. Not necessarily to apologize, but be willing to show that you are hearing them, or they want to be heard in that sense. All right. So Sam nodded as he listened. Even though the customer couldn't see him, I completely understand. Let me look into this and make sure we get it resolved. While I do, may I ask? And here he has, so Sam, what has Sam done here? So he has acknowledged the customer, he has put some value, right, into the situation, and now he is putting now, which is so the value here, he's looking into it and make sure we get it resolved this time so that the customer won't have to go through this again. And now he's gonna ask a question. So while I do that, may I ask, what's the most important all right, I'll begin. So while I do that, may I ask what's most important to you in a service provider? Is it reliability, pricing, or something else? So while Sam is working on that issue in the background, this puts the client's mind in a new frame. So they're actually thinking about something that helps to move the call forward. So depending on how they answer, you get to decide how you're going to pitch. So what this is doing too is not only acknowledging and providing value and putting a question, you're actually probing to move the call forward and actually be able to create what is called customer specific value that will help you to pitch effectively, one, but also provide value in the sense of whatever product you're going to be pitching. You'll pitch it in a way that makes sense to this customer specifically. So you're not going to be, if this customer says that they are interested in reliability, you're not going to pitch based on price. Sure, that can also kind of help to kind of tack on, but you're going to focus on the thing that the client tells you. And it may be a case that in this stage also you're able to build some rapport, and you may actually find additional things that you can actually use in that probing stage to actually expand the call and be able to even maybe doing upsells as a part of this if you find additional needs based on the probing session that you're going to be having with the client during that time. All right. So yeah, so I guess I kind of explained it a bit. The customer is going to go on to kind of shift and kind of mellow out. This won't happen every time, but it kind of gives you a framework you can work with. And depending on where you work, they may have a different approach you can take. If it's a case where it's not like a hard locked approach where you have to do certain things in a certain way, you can try something like this. So you're gonna AVQ, you're gonna have that as a simpler way to have it. So you're gonna acknowledge, value, and question, and then you try to move the call forward. If the customer still gives you hesitations beyond that, typically what we recommend is try maybe 2 to 3 times to overcome the hesitation, and beyond that, no, you just probably won't be able to work with that client in that timeline. Maybe you can follow up at a later time or send the correspondence if you are allowed to do so. But yeah, so that's how you overcome objection. All right, that's the video.